Okay. Okay. It's the best place to put this, probably over here. Alright. Actually, put this over here. Cool. Alright. Alright, so, I posted today about breaking this track down, and you guys, like, a lot of people stood up and said that I should, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Um, so it's a lot here, and whenever I work, I'm super unorganized. It's just kind of how I've always been. I'm just terrible at it, everything, keeping it all looking nice and whatever. So we will just start. Um, I guess we'll start in a second. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and break everything down, you know, section by section, show you guys exactly what I did, um, if possible. And like I said, if you guys have any questions about anything, I'll do my best to answer. But for now, let's just get right into it. We'll start in this intro part here. This is going to be super simple stuff, just from the beginning to now. So whenever I guess we'll start in a second. Whenever I started this track, initially I didn't really have a direction for it to go. Um, I kind of wrote like a random melody that's not even in this version of the track, actually. I wrote it, liked it a lot, and wanted to kind of work around it. But I ended up, making something completely different, which tends to happen a lot. I'll just kind of write something that I like, and then we'll just get to, the point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to change it, or I'm going to either work off of it or change it. And for this one, I ended up changing it. I think I went through 3 versions of this song, so this is the third and final one. But yeah, we'll start with the kind of idea behind the first, I guess, the whole vocal for the track. So the vocal for the track I found on Splice, actually, and this is what it sounds like without any sort of effects on it. I'll play the whole thing through real quick.
I'm losing myself, I'm losing myself tonight. Losing myself, I'm losing myself tonight.
Kind of get the idea. But I only took part of it initially for the track, and it's the part you'll hear in a second. But for now, let's start over here. So the intro is really simple. I have like this little vocal atmosphere, and it kind of fades up and then fades out. But I only took half of it As you can see, I kind of chopped it up, took half of it, so it's kind of like, fading into the rest of the track. I also have this little cashmere cymbal transition, which just sounds like this, kind of a little bit more effects. And then I also have this white noise going up right here. Just also another long, super drawn out thing. I think I reversed it actually. No, I didn't. This is not one I did reverse, but this one just kind of fades up. And so you get this cool effect when you layer it all. And then I added this little clap right before. I originally had it here, but I kind of liked how before it dropped into the track, there was like a clap. I don't know. It just added to it, so that I just kept it like that. But yeah, this is what it sounds like when you put it all together. So that's pretty simple stuff. Nothing too intricate right there. And then I have this downlifter from Pack I got forever ago, and I use it in almost all my tracks. Um, so that's out of the way. We can start here with a sample that I found on Splice that's really kind of the core idea behind the whole entire track. So this first um, set of keys is, like I said, it's a sample. And the only thing I did to it was EQ it. I EQ'd out the low end. Um, I didn't. I knew I was going to be layering it with a lot of stuff, so I didn't want to have that low end clashing with the Reese because the Reese is kind of in the beginning. So without any effects, this is the sound that pretty much formed the entire track, Selfless. But if you can hear in these first, I think these like the three little notes right here, that low note, um, that's the one I wanted to EQ out because that was the one that would have clashed with the Reese. So I EQ'd it, and so the without, with. So you can still hear that low note, but it's not as bassy, which is what I was going for. Because like I said, I didn't want it to clash. So the next thing that I did was I added the Reese. And for me at least, whenever I hear a good bass line, I guess this really isn't a bass line, but a Reese is really catchy. It's something that draws my attention. So, that was kind of the first step. That's what I do a lot is I'll write, really a Reese, and then we'll kind of go from there. So for this Reese, it was really simple. I think actually I think it's a preset. A lot of these are presets I just kind of changed ever so slightly and used. But yeah, it's a production master preset, BS Fatty, or bass, I guess, BS short for bass. So if we layer these two together, this is what you get. So that is the first thing that I did. Um, the Reese. The next thing I added was a pad, and this is another preset here. Um, and this is a low key pad. This is a Gil Chang preset that I found on Splice also. And I love using this pad. I use it in a lot of my tracks also. Just change it up. But the two without the keys, just the Reese and this, sounds like this. So that's a little bit more air into it. And then I think the next thing I added was the violin. And this is, if you layer, I layered these two sounds over each other, the reese and the violin, and it makes it so much more powerful, and it's really cool. You get this really cool sound when you layer these two. So I'll play all three, so you can hear what they sound like. So you get that, super cool. Um, and then I added this pad layer here, um, which also is a preset, but it kind of, I made it start here. You kind of get this, like it just kind of comes out of nowhere, but it adds to the track. And whenever I put everything together, you'll kind of hear what I'm talking about. It's just gonna pop in really quick right here, um, but this is what all of the kind of melodic aspects of the intro sound like, minus a few things that I'll pull on here in a second. But this is what it sounds like. Um, okay, so next we have these little, they're just like little vocal kind of riffs, the whole thing. I chopped it up. This is what it originally sounded like. But I just chopped it up and used parts of it that I liked. Um, and then we also have these soul shakers. That's all it was. And then another ARP right here. But I am modulating that so it's really quiet. Whenever it's layered over everything, it's not super loud. And then I also have these other vocals here. Which are also being volume modulated. So that's pretty much the intro up to this point. So if you put everything together up to here, this is what it sounds like. Right. So moving on to this next section, um, I added more. So everything that we just went over here is just copied and pasted into the next um, 8 bars, and this is what we got. So I added extra chords, or not extra chords, extra plucks and keys. So I'll just play the melodic stuff without the bass, just the intro and all this. So these are the extra chords that I added right here. Pretty simple. This is one of the sounds I use in almost all of my tracks. Also, this is a guitar, but it sounds more like a Chinese kind of pluck sound. And I don't know, it just sounds super majestic. I love it. But I layered that over some keys. This is what the pattern looks like. So just this is just kind of filler stuff. And it's a grand piano, and I have some reverb on it as well. This is really good. Pretty basic, um, but it does a lot, especially here in this next part. So the next thing the kind of the major thing added was this drum loop, and this is a timed drum loop that I found. And then the bass rips. So I guess I titled it bass rips, but it's more or less it's a just this really cool bouncy bass kind of sound. But it's just kind of repeating over and over. I wish you listen to it. It's kind of following the same Reese pattern, and I'm sidechaining the Reese pretty hard. That's what all these little things are right here. They're just side chains. It's the way I side chain. I'm very visual, so I don't want to put it into like, yeah, the King Romero side chain. I don't know what it's called. It's like a something a lot of people use for side chaining, but for me, I just rather visually see it right here. Um, but yeah, so we layer that with everything, the extra chords and plucks and all that, and this would be it. So that is the entire intro section, um, from start to kind of the break. Okay, so for the break, excuse me, um, we get into it a little bit more. There's a little bit more. There's a little more different stuff going on. So let's start with the second Reese. Different type of Reese, I think. Nope, not that one. Where is it? This one, I think, is the different one. Yes, the retro Reese. That's what it sounds like. Another preset I found. So we layered these two. Also, in that second kind of Reese part, instead of it going down over here at the end, we went up, because that's kind of fading into like the big vocals and where the chords kind of come in a little harder. I also added a maramba. Um, this was just a sample that I found, and I just put it in a piano roll, and it sounds like this. Also put reverb on it. And then you got the pads and the extra plucks right here, which are like the falling plucks. So so if we take out the vocals, this is what it sounds like without any vocals through this kind of break right here. And I'm sorry, my computer's lagging. I don't have the capacity to keep to run this and stream everything, so it's gonna be a little fucked. But anyways, so that's without the vocals, and then if we add the vocals, nope, not bleeping. We add them. This is what it sounds like.
Losing myself, I'm losing myself tonight. Losing myself, I'm losing myself tonight.
So this kind of riser right here is already in an A. So, and that's what I'm writing out of. I think it was the whole track was in an A, but that's what I'm. This was already in an A, so it kind of just flowed with the track and kind of gave it this like more uplifting feelings of like. Which is cool. Um, so there's that. Get this out of the way. Which is it's that kind of it's the sound you hear. It almost sounds kind of like a vocal going up. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It's just a lot of stuff. It's just a riser that I've had in one of my packs. But anyways, yeah, we rises up to this next little break part, which is the same stuff. The thing we have going on here is we added these kind of big, heavy synth leads. That's what that sounds like. It's another preset that I found. But yeah, rising, moving to this little section here. Like I said, same thing, copy and paste it here. We just add more stuff. We're also modulating here this pad. It's the same pad from the beginning here, except we are modulating the pitch bend from it. So here, it's this. Play it by itself. That's what it sounds like. And then with modulation, this is what you get. So you get like almost like a falling effect, and it's super easy to do. If you go to your serum or whatever it is, and then you go right here. This is your kind of pitch bends. I don't know what you call this. Whatever. You just click on it, move it a little bit, and then go up here to tools, last tweaked, and then create automation clip, and it'll create an automation clip for pretty much anything that you've done on Serum so far. Just the last thing that you clicked. So if I wanted to modulate the LFO rate, you could do that too. It's just kind of whatever you're more focused on doing. So yes, that is kind of an effect that I put in here to make it, a little bit more. So I'll show you what it sounds like. To get that falling effect, which is super cool. Um, so, where were we? Oh yeah, we were talking about this. Yeah, that was just an effect that I put on it. It's or modulation that I put on it, make it sound just a little bit more unique, I guess is the word. I'm not sure. Um, so moving on to this little section before the build up. This is where I add a horn element here. And then I have the marimba. I think it's the same note. Over and over again. And then we split up the keys here. And then we have this pad, but I'm modulating the pitch bend on it again. and instead of it uh, just being the same note across the board, I modulated it to where it will rise up to make a riser, I guess. So this is what it sounds like without any modulation. This is what it sounds like with the modulation. It's kind of like a little siren. It's nothing too crazy. Let's keep these on. And then I have this horn going here. I copied it and then I reversed it. So this is what the original sounds like. And then literally all I did was go here, copied it, and then I replaced it here and reversed it. And so then you get kind of like a rising horn. And this is what it sounds like when it goes, from the riser into the horns. That's what we get. Just that, the keys and the riser. And then we also have the sub bass, which is that retro bass I was talking about, the second one that comes in this part. This is what it sounds like all together. Pretty simple. And then I have some downlifters here and other transition effects, but that's kind of easy stuff. Let's go over it real quick. The Cashmere cymbal again. That's all it is. But you put it all together and you get this cool.
I'm losing myself tonight.
Okay, so for the build up, this is a sample that's actually, it's like a little snare riff. I just took that part where it rolls right there, chopped it, put it right here, so you kind of get like a into the horns and the actual build up. For the build up, we have the bass kind of repeating over and over again, and then I'm sure you heard just a second ago whenever I had it, was talking about this horn, just pretty basic. I don't know, am I modulating this, the pitch? I'm not. Okay, so there's, just leave that, so that's just kind of like I am modulating these though, which is actually another vocal sample that's completely irrelevant to the song, and sounds like this. But as you can tell, I just used that first part of it, and I am modulating the pitch on that. So here it starts. Like that. I have a riser going, and then this synth riser also, so two risers right here. Another loop, and then some percussion. Have this going on, and this is the drop guitar. This is the same guitar that kind of added a little bit more oomph to the plex up here and all this. have that going on as well. And then I have these saws, and I'm pitch bending the saws, so you get this effect here. Take this here, let's fix this. But basically the pitch bend is kind of giving it, instead of it just being flat chords, this pitch bend adds it like a rising effect to the chords, so they sound like they're more combined with each other. It's the little things, man. Pay attention to detail. It's really, but it's not a major thing that I did. It's just kind of something that thought sounded better. And then the whole drums is this build up. And then and then the kicks. And then, yeah, I'm pretty sure we covered everything here. The last, this little part that we can cover is these added two horns and kind of these extra build-ups. Pretty simple, more samples. But yeah, so together between this kind of mid-break and then build-up, this is, oh, not that. This is what it sounds like. Okay, right before, so the pre-drop, and then we'll get to the kind of meat of the whole track. So the pre-drop is some more vocals that I found. These are not being used anywhere else except for the drop, and this is all it is. And then more vocal here from the original. And then we also have these little, like, I don't even know what they are, but it sounds like this. And that's like the last thing you hear before the drop. I have one note of marimba, actually, false. Those kind of go all the way through. Now I have a riser, and then the percussion that you hear here is this little, it's a crane pre-drop sound. That's what it sounds like. I chopped it up. I didn't want the kick, that big little thump at the end, so it's just, that's all it is. And then last thing, we added, these go throughout the drop in kind of like a pattern all over the place. And this is they're just like little plucks. That's what it sounds like. So I added that right before the drop as well, and you get this cool, that's what it sounds like. You can hear these very vaguely. But yeah, that is the entire build up. Now let's get to the drop. So the drop, really honestly, this is the part that took me the longest on this track. As any track probably normally would. But it's it looks complicated and it's really not. A lot all this stuff here is side chaining stuff that's giving it the effect of the I guess it's giving the chords the effects. Um, but this is what the drop sounds like with no effects. So I'll play that for you guys real quick. You hear what it sounds like. Okay. It sounds like shit. But this is the entire. These are the big chords that you hear in the drop. The same note over and over again, but what I did is I wanted it to give kind of like that sound, so I put a modulation on it, and it's only modulating the volume, surprisingly enough, and it's basically just a really hard side chain here, which whenever I talked with Ray Volby about this, and he said it was hard, sidechained really hard. So I guess I probably should fix it. Um, but the kick is it's really bad. I guess I could have stopped the sidechain here. Um, but the modulation on the volume here gives it like that effect. So this is what it sounds like with the modulation. Who would have known, right? And that honestly just comes with messing around with a bunch of stuff that I didn't really. I knew what I wanted it to sound like, but I didn't know how to get there. So I messed around with a bunch of different stuff. Honestly, took the chords here in and out probably 5 or 6 times. I didn't know how I was gonna make it sound like that until I found out. Like, oh yeah, I can do this with volume automation. So that's how we got there. The guitar is also going here. So let me just play all the chords that are going on without the low bass here. So there's that, and then we have the guitar here, um, and then the saws. So this is what it sounds like with all that stuff. Um, so I guess one more thing I forgot to talk about in this kind of build up is this part right here. This is all it is. It's like little chords. It was in an E minor. I brought it all the way down to a, so it matches the rest of the drop. And this is, I guess I just played it. That's what it sounds like. Um, but yeah, let's go to the low end here. So the low end is also being sidechained. This is what it sounds like. And this is a quick sample in the bass, and it's this really airy. It'll play for me. I guess it's not going to. Okay. This is what it sounds like. There's more sidechaining on that. I just split them up. But that's what it sounds like. And it's got this cool, like, saw bass noise to it, which is kind of what drew me to using it in the track. I have some percussion in here as well. The little things, company top loop, and then some more tambourine, and then this. It's not supposed to be there. But yeah, this the percussion. It's is. But yeah, you put it all together, and this is what you get. So this part originally wasn't here. I think I actually just had these playing, and it was just being modulated. And it was just like, zin, 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 zin. But I wanted to add something. I don't know. That was just kind of different. So I added this lead here, and this is what this sounds like by itself. Which is another preset. This is a Elixir preset from Fabian Mazur. I don't know how to say his last name, Mazar. I don't know. Um, but I layered that with these. I think these are higher. Yeah, these are turned up all the way, and then these are where they were. So you get like two kind of going on here, and then we'll turn on the modulations for them. And then you layer that with this kind of riff that I wrote here, and this is what it sounds like. And then I have a horn that's turned down, so you get this boom, boom. That's what it's going for, and then it's kind of fading in a little bit. And then a faller, and then that little riff before the drop that I talked about right here, just going a little bit more, and this is what it sounds like. That one kind of plays all the way through, so that's what this little mid break is like. So this again right here in the second part is whenever we kind of copy and paste the first part. There's just some little minor things that are going on. I would go over all this again, um, but I'm not going to because this is all kind of the same stuff that was in the intro. Um, the I guess we can go over sidechaining real quick. So basically, if you don't know what sidechaining is, it's basically ducking a sound to make the kick come through. So for example, I'll sidechain something real quick just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. We'll do this here. So this is what it sounds like. Actually, we'll do, because I know that's probably already modulated somewhere and it's not going to work. Actually, yeah, we'll do that. Whatever. Okay, so this is sidechaining here. So basically, this is what it sounds like without a sidechain on the kick. I don't know if you can hear how it kind of clashes with the kick a little bit. But if you sidechain it, this is what it sounds like. You can hear how that sound kind of ducks and lets the kick come all the way through. Um, so whenever I'm talking about sidechaining, that's what I'm talking about. Build up is all the same, nothing different. This drop is different though. So I wanted to make this drop as different as possible, still using the same aspects and chords that I used in the first drop. So this is what we came up with. I'll let y'all listen, and then we will go over it. Okay, so the second part to this drop is this is what the saws sound like. Okay, and then I have the bass instead of it. It's just straight. And then we get this. I think this is the guitar that kind of carries the drop here in this second part, but it's pretty basic. Um, but if you listen, that's kind of what is carrying that drop. So without it, it sounds like. But if you add those guitar in there, like I said, I'm not gonna go through everything here again, just because a lot of it is the same. Once we get over here, the drums are a little different. Um, and it's also like a pre-drop, I guess. So it's gonna drop, and there's not gonna be any drums, and then I started the drums later on. Not too difficult. Um, just kind of how I wanted the second drop to sound. I wanted it to be a little bit more majestic, and I feel like it is. I don't know, I'll leave that to your opinion. So here we have an impact from Jerezzo's pack, and I have modulating the volume to nothing really quick, but you kind of get like this. It's basically just an impact, just the bass. That's all it is. And I'm fading everything else up into it. I guess not everything, just the reeds, so that they don't clash. But this is what it sounds like. So here, where we still have these kind of snares going on, I didn't modulate the pitch bend on the pad. I just didn't think it sounded right, and I didn't want to kind of overkill that. So I waited until the end here to do it. So this pad is just kind of um, the ending is really just the intro pad that we had originally, the keys, um, the extra plucks, and then the pad and the Reese, which is with a little tambourine underneath it, and then, like I said, the pitch bend here, modulation. And that's pretty much Selfless. There's really not, like I said, it's not as much as it looks. I tried to break it down as best as possible. Um, I'm gonna leave this on YouTube. If you guys have any questions about anything that I did in the track, or want to know, why I did it, or what the reasoning was behind it, you can always reach out to me and ask. I know I'm not the best producer in the world, um, but this is a track that I really really liked making. I enjoyed doing it, um, and it's cool. It's one of those tracks I didn't really have an idea in the first place. It's just kind of one of those things I wrote down, and then kind of formed an idea once I found the right vocal for it and all that stuff. But like I said, if you guys have any questions about anything, you guys feel free to reach out to me. But other than that, I appreciate you watching and tuning in, and I hope you guys learned something today, or maybe you're just curious to see how it worked. But that's it. That's pretty much the track Selfless for you guys. Um, I'll see you guys later.